Good morning. We'll give everyone a moment to find that registration link and log into the Zoom event before we get started. All right. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning for the AIA Austin Women in Architecture Committee site tour of the Austin-Bergstrom International Airport expansion. I am Nkiru Gallis. I'm the committee chair for 2021, and this is our fourth fully virtual site tour of 2021. Our mission at the Women in Architecture Committee is to promote, validate, and illuminate the role of women within the architectural field through fostering community, fellowship, education, and outreach. And throughout this year, through 2021, we've had an incredible group of sponsors who are continuing to support the work we do. And I'd very much like to thank Artisan Hardwood Floors. Thank you, Amber Brock. Gus Bernal, Videography. Thank you to Gus for the continued work with the Women in Architecture Committee. Indoor Weather Professionals. Thank you, Kristen Decker Ali, for all your support this year. McCoy Rockford Commercial Interiors. Thank you to Jen Conrad for reaching out to us continuously. McKinney York Architects. Thank you to Heather McKinney and Michelle Rosamondo for attending and joining into many of our Women in Architecture events this year. Thank you to Michael Shu Architects. Maya Kreischman has also been a part of our profile series. Thank you to MMD Architects, Mita Morrison, also part of our profile series. Thank you to Miller Imaging and Digital Solutions. Thank you, Lucy Miller. Lucy is an ongoing sponsor of the Women in Architecture Committee. Thank you to Paige and Wendy Dunham-Tita for really getting the Women in Architecture Committee started. Thank you to Fluger Architects, Steffi Santa Cruz, another continuous supporter. Thank you to Pilgrim Building Company, Branson Fustus. Thank you again for all your support. Thank you to Rogers O'Brien Construction, Christine Shang. Thank you. Thank you to Storybill, a new sponsor this year. Thank you, Kristen Padovic. So with that, I'd like to invite our site tour moderator and also the chair of the site tour subcommittee, Randy Davis, to this event. Randy moved from Maryland to Texas in 2018 to work for Nelsen Partners, Inc. as a contract administration architect. Her current CA work includes the new 31-story Hyatt-centric hotel in downtown Austin, the new Travis County North Campus office building, and the multifamily residential development Travis Flats. As an architect focused on the construction phase of projects, she enjoys working with the entire project team to find creative solutions for project success. And so with that, I just want to say a big thank you to Randy from all of the Women in Architecture Committee team. If it wasn't for Randy, we would not be able to have these virtual site tours. There's a lot of background work and coordination that goes into it, which I'm sure you can all appreciate. And so thank you, Randy, and I'll hand things over to you.
And Nkiru, thank you again for your outstanding leadership of the AIA Austin chapter of WiA. And welcome everyone to our fourth virtual site tour of the year. The building we are about to tour today was named for Barbara Jordan, the iconic Texan, the lawyer, the teacher, the civil rights leader, the lawmaker, the trailblazer with a voice like none other. Self-identified as an optimist in her judgment of people, she had no interest in being a symbol. In her words, she was a professional politician who believed equality and justice remain in our ethical and idealistic view of what the United States of America ought to be. My mission in organizing these virtual tours was to provide the WiA members with an opportunity to continue an insight into the construction phase while in a safe environment. Never did I anticipate that I would be sent into a deep dive of Texas history, considering the impact that one woman's intention to set her own course would have in our present-day conversations about justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. In 1985, years after her successful careers in the Texas legislature and the U.S. House of Representatives, Barbara Jordan shared in an interview discussing the challenge of being a woman in politics. There remains, whether one is willing to admit it or not, there remains a feeling that women are not quite up to the job. Though she was well respected and endeared by her white male colleagues in the Texas Senate and had become a trusted advisor to President Lyndon B. Johnson, she changed course to focus on her greatest role as a teacher to future generations. In the design of the city within a city, the airport emphasized inclusivity in their mission. They stayed true to the Austin vibe, and they reframed the welcoming experience for international travelers to Texas. Barbara Jordan believed in the beauty of the interplay of arts and sciences. This project is just that. Let there be no doubt that this team of women we will hear from today were indeed up to the job. A complex project from design through documentation and execution, the team prioritized outstanding communication as one of the keys to success. Please share your questions in the Q&A and take a few minutes to complete the evaluation form at the end. We want to hear from you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce one of the leaders in Gensler's Austin office, Senior Associate and Project Architect, Vineta Clegg, RIAI.
Thank you, Randy. Austin-Bergstrom International Airport Expansion is a 175,000 square feet, 12-gate expansion that was completed in 2019. This project spanned over 5 years and involved a very large team, including the City of Austin, various departments within the airport, and a 20-firm consulting design team. I'm Vineta Clegg, the architectural lead on this project, from SD through to CA. I worked full-time on this project for 5 years, 3 of which were based on site, leading an all-female architectural team. I am delighted to be joined today by a number of truly wonderful female colleagues to share our story. These women are amazing friends, co-workers, and leaders in our construction community. With me today is Sophia Cartlidge, the design team project coordinator from Gensler, Ellen Brunjes-Brandt, the Department of Aviation project manager, Priscilla Narosky, the project manager with Hensel Phelps, Jennifer Doyle, principal at Engineered Exteriors, waterproofing and envelope consultant, and Nikki Ram with Engineered Exteriors. I'm an Irish architect, and my passion is working on community-focused projects. I've led a number of projects ranging from new builds, schools to city redevelopments throughout the world, from Dublin to London to Sydney, before moving to Austin in 2013. I am a mom to 2 young, very energetic boys, one of which was born during my time on site. Being a mom is a full-time job in itself, and whatever free time I have, I love to be outdoors with my family, camping and hiking.
Hi, I'm Sophia Cartlidge, and my role on this expansion and renovation project was project coordinator. My main responsibility was to keep everything moving smoothly between the A&E team, Hensel Phelps, and our client, City of Austin, and ABIA. It seems that I've earned the nickname Sergeant Cartlidge by staying on top of my A&E team members and building relationships with our contractors and clients. Yes, I've been known to rant and to have a stern voice as if I'm whipping these civilians into shape. However, my first job is being a mother of 3 girls who keep me on my toes and laughing every day. Balancing motherhood and a full-time job can be stressful, but the reward exceeds the stress. In my spare time, I love to travel. I'm also an adrenaline junkie, so I'm the one project team member who climbed the tallest crane tower on the project. And my obsession is also community service. My superpower is getting people to make a difference in this world.
Hi, I'm Ellen Brunjes. I was the airport project manager for the terminal expansion project. I'm a licensed civil engineer, and I've been working in the field of aviation my entire career. It really is my passion. I'm a wife. I'm a mother to two daughters. I'm a daughter of another engineer, and I've been working here at the airport now going on 5 years. I've designed numerous airfield projects and been involved with the construction of many, many more throughout my career.
Hello, everyone. My name is Priscilla Narosky, project manager with Hensel Phelps. I actually served several roles on our project at ABIA, starting out as a project engineer over project controls and financials, and also had some time as a superintendent in the field, managing production and safety and quality. And then I moved into the project management role and completed the project and brought us through the opening and closeout phases. But I'm trained as an architectural engineer and built my career in building landmark projects, particularly here in Austin. In addition to the airport, I've also worked at the downtown New Central Library and the 2nd Street Bridge. But one of my proudest accomplishments is being a working mother to 2 young boys as well, both of which also were born while I was working at ABIA with this team. So something unique on this project, but definitely something we're very proud of, is how we built something really important that will outlast us, but also something to be proud of for our families.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Doyle. I'm with Engineered Exteriors. As Vineta mentioned, we served as the building envelope consultant for this airport terminal expansion and also for the improvements part of the project. I've had the pleasure of being in the Austin area for the last 20 years with an opportunity to work on several landmark existing buildings as well as new construction. Of course, balancing that work with my role as a wife and mother to 2 amazing boys who are much bigger than some of the other boys that the other team members have. But yeah, it's a great opportunity to meet with you.
Morning, my name is Nikki Ram. I also work for Engineered Exteriors as a principal specializing in building envelope consulting. I am a licensed architectural engineer, and I'm also a mom of 3 wonderful girls. I have been working as an engineer for more than 15 years now. I started out as a structural engineer performing structural design on new construction, but I moved into the building envelope field by luck about 10 years ago, and I've never looked back. I've worked on a variety of projects in the Central Texas area, from government and city buildings to high-rise condos. My family has quite the travel bug, so in balancing my career, I also have a lot of fun traveling with them. The photo down in the middle is actually a photo of my 2 oldest girls having a handstand on the new East Terrace shortly after the East End, the expansion opened. So we enjoy the airport, and we're excited that other people get to enjoy it too.
So Austin is growing at an alarming rate, as we all well know, and it seems that everyone wants to move here. So our brief was to accommodate a 36% increase in passenger capacity, and that amounts to 15 million passengers annually. And one of the many criteria was to create an expansion that felt very Austin, that was a mix of old and new, trendy and weird. Austin is moving from a small town to a big city, and it's important that the city doesn't lose its identity. And this transcribes into the expansion building itself. So one of the big takeaways from our visioning session with the aviation department was that the expansion felt like it was Austin, local, hip, arty, eclectic. The balance of Austin local and international cutting edge was key to this design. And it's important to remember that the airport were looking for an expansion of their existing facility and not some new identity at the end of the East End.
So there are numerous stakeholders that we have to accommodate when we're building terminal, or when we're designing terminal buildings. First and foremost is the traveling public. You know, we need to be thinking about business travelers that travel every day, to the folks that maybe this is their first trip ever to an airport, and maybe the only trip in their career. Including another part of the traveling public we'll talk about a little later is pets too. So adults, children's, veteran business travelers, that traveling public we really trace from the first step onto the airport property and trace their journey through the checkpoints, through the terminal, and all the way out to the gate. In addition to serving the traveling public, there's also many different airport departments that we need to coordinate with, as well as government agencies such as the FAA, TSA, and the City of Austin.
Now, to expand this terminal and keep the airport fully operational 24/7, we had to break up the project into multiple phases and 4 GMPs in total. This allowed us to break up the scope into additional airfield paving and temporary elevated walkways for temporary gates. So to expand the building to the east and keep the gates operational at the east end, what we did was extended the walkways to the jet bridges along the building footprint to the east. So you can see here how these elevated walkways extended all around the building footprint, and we were able to bubble out our construction site work area to remain fully operational and productive during construction.
So as Priscilla said, we expanded to the east approximately 500 feet, but we also expanded to the north and south a total of 50 feet. So this 3-story volume was conceived, and it's very in keeping with the scale and the architectural language of the existing terminal. As you can see, the cladding matches the existing, but we introduced more glazing, more clear story glazing at the top, and also at the east facing the runway. It spans over 3 levels, the lower level being the apron back of house area, and the 2 upper levels are the public accessible concourse and mezzanine level. So as mentioned, you can see where this is the existing terminal and the expansion line here. We extended 25 feet north and south, and this was done to facilitate queuing at the gates. It allowed us to distribute the concessions more evenly throughout the space. And retail revenue is a huge component for any airport. And most of our hold room seating areas are adjacent to a concession space. We also have one large central restroom bank here, and we also have a focus at the end, this what we call the Moon Tower. And again, this is a kind of another nod to Austin history, an Austin icon. It's an iconic beacon that kind of pulls passengers through the concourse. And you can see all the darker gray area here are the seating areas. And then the white spaces, the white boxes are the concession spaces, kind of distributed throughout the space. And then the light gray is the central circulation space. So this is the mezzanine level. It's 20 feet above. We have Delta Club Lounge here, and we also have the East Terrace that we mentioned. So the main focus of this is that it allows the 6 gates that the internationals arrive in allows the passengers to to make their way up through the glazed sterile corridor and link up to the customs hall. So, so you can see here the international guests will enter this double height glazed cores on the north and south, which are here and here. And they make their way up to this glass-filled corridor that links to the customs hall. So what this does is creates a very unique experience and very different from the typical basement corridors that are found in many airports. And it serves as a great first introduction and gateway to our city for foreign travelers. So we really tried to celebrate the passenger arrival and create this memorable gateway. And you can see that it's lit by the custom lights in the truss above. And it kind of feels like you're almost floating in the clouds and you're 20 feet above the hustle and bustle of activity below. So for it to feel like a glass box, we really had to minimize all of our fixtures and lights and vents and things like that. So the only thing you have in the corridor is a sprinkler system. It's actually lit from the trusses above, and we have a frit glass on the top, on the ceiling, and we have a gradient opaque glass on the side, which is actually bracing the structural fins. So there's no gaps in this corridor because the need to keep the sterile environment and the domestic environment separated. So again, kind of going back to that idea that trying to keep, go back to the Austin theme. One of the big influences for this design was the Green Dance Hall, which as I'm sure most of you know, is a local dance hall that's about 150 years old. And the idea was to create this large open volume with exposed structure, but to tie it to a more modern look. So one of the other things is the existing building had exposed beams, and we were looking for something that paid tribute to that, but was not a replica. So we proposed triangulated trusses that spanned approximately 90 feet, and they are supported by precast columns, again, celebrating that natural material. And we also wanted to try and avoid people congregating around the columns, as you see in so many airports. So our precast columns are outlet free. The trusses kind of tie the space together because it's kind of broken up with the hold rooms and the concession spaces, the sterile corridor and the main walkway. And what it actually does, it extends beyond the facade and it supports the continuous sunshade all around the building that helps with our HVAC load. So here's just some footage as you're making your way. You can see the expansion line from the existing to the new. One of the big takeaways is the volume. The space is pretty large, and it's really well lit because we have a lot of clear story glazing around the perimeter.
One of the challenges of the design of the trusses, the architects wanted them to punch through the building envelope in a very clean way. And so to do that, we needed to make sure that we weren't creating air continuity issues where we'd have air leakage or water leakage or thermal continuity issues. And so early on in design, we worked with Gensler on the detailing through where these trusses penetrate both the curtain wall and the framed walls below. So at the curtain wall, we introduced a backpan system that was fully sealed and integrated with the curtain wall weep system. And the idea being that if the surface sealants fail long-term, this doesn't result in a leak. It drains out as intended. And then for thermal continuity, we introduced spray foam inside the truss elements, which required some coordination with structural to make sure that the holes needed to inject the spray foam would work structurally. And then at the wall condition as well, and you can see in construction, the lower left photo, we made sure that the trusses were flashed fully into the air barrier and surrounded with insulation prior to cover up. In construction, it did require a lot of coordination with Hensel Phelps and their subs. We were on site frequently to review mock-ups, to review work prior to cover up. You know, sealants are sealants, but if they have holes in them, they leak. So it was a great way that, you know, just the way things worked out on site, having Gensler there full time, having a great team with Hensel Phelps, we were able to help ensure that things were done properly and then covered up to function long term.
So moving back indoors, so the restrooms are a key component to any airport, and we provided a centralized restroom bank that was more space efficient. So this zone kind of caters to everyone. We've provided kid height sinks, toddler seats to strap your kids from running away and looking into the adjacent cubicle, which I'm sure most of us have experienced with our kids. We have a large number of nursing rooms with ample outlets and stroller storage, a lot of baby changing facilities, both in the male and female, as the dads also need to change diapers too. And we have family restrooms, and most importantly though, we have a companion care restroom and pet relief area. The interesting thing about these restrooms is that maintenance is a huge driver in this design. You know, we have the central sinks area house the faucets, the soap dispensers, and the hand dryer, so there's no need to turn around and wet the floor and cause potential injury. And we also have a facility in which you can cordon off some of these areas to allow maintenance to work in just one area at a time.
So Vineta, real quick, I want to point out something about the coordination in here, the plumbing chase. You remember all the issues and trying to make sure that maintenance was able to get back there and do what they needed to do to maintain this large bank of restrooms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and the just so most of you are aware, maintenance need a clear chase of 2 foot 6 inches, which is pretty substantial, and a lot more than what we regularly design to. So we created a space that was very bright and had a lot of light colored tiles, and you can see we have some frosted glazing on our windows again as well. You can see also the tile, we've kind of zoned our tiles into the wet areas or the darker tiles, and the lighter tiles are the more circulation areas. You can see from this image as well that we have a lowered kids sink. Again, just trying to cater for everyone's needs, because we've all been there with our kids trying to hover over a sink and clean their hands, and they're not generally enjoying that too much. On the image on the left here, you can see that we don't have any doors to the restrooms. We have a black and steel portal that was produced by a local manufacturer. And
I think the other component on the restroom, Vineta, is just the whole maintenance and the waste. The fact that we have the air dryers connected to the faucets so that it reduces down on the waste, right?
Yeah, and that there's no, you know, you're not using paper towels, and you're not dripping water all over the place. You can see the hand dryer, the integrated hand dryer and water dispenser. Here's just an image of the heading into the changing facilities. So we have a large number of changing areas here. This is in adjacent to the nursing room. So again, these are quite large spaces, a lot of room for strollers, and it's connected to the audio system. So the companion care restroom is a pretty big deal. So Austin is the first in the US to have one of these, a fully fitted out companion care restroom. And what it's doing is it's providing facilities for those who need assistance while on a flight. So we have an adjustable changing table. We have a shower with an adjustable sink as well. We have a ceiling hoist and transfer zone. And again, it's just what we're trying to do is just cater to everyone's needs, because you know, this experience can be stressful, and by providing these facilities provides an opportunity for others to utilize these spaces and become more comfortable flying. We have a lot of graffiti panels, acronym panels that designate these areas. And last but not least, we provide a pet relief room, an indoor pet relief room, because a lot of people are traveling with their pets nowadays. So we have the AstroTurf is gone right now, but we have a non-functioning hydrant and mitts and drinking fountains and everything to make traveling with your pet that little bit easier. So kind of going back to this inclusive idea, we're providing a huge variety of seating arrangements that cater for all passengers. So this is an area behind the concession space, and we've created this more informal seating area. It's got a lowered ceiling, it's got more intimate lighting, it's more relaxed environment. And you can also see that we have some roller shades there on the right, and that's kind of linking back to our BMS system and adjusting to glare and heat in the concourse. So here you can kind of see the variety of seating. We have the regular hold room seats and a lot of swivel chairs. We also designed the gate counters, custom-made millwork. So here you can see the concessions behind the concession space with this nice black and steel bench and some integrated millwork. You can see the hydration stations, again, kind of going back to that single-use plastic and sustainable idea. And we also have some higher millwork benches here that accommodate those who just want to be at a laptop. In addition to that, we've kind of provided a hearing loop system. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, it's a series of copper wires, and this is placed under the hold room carpet tile. And what it does is it provides a discrete means for someone with a hearing device to connect to and to clearly hear the announcements without all the other background noise that's happening in the airport. So what the hearing loop sends sound directly to the receiver in the user's hearing device, and it improves understanding and speech, and each passenger can customize what they hear. And again, kind of going back to this idea of trying to keep the expansion Austin and feel like you're in Austin, all the concessions are local. So it helps with the airport's identity because you always know that you're in Austin. And obviously getting Texas barbecue before boarding a flight is highly essential for most Texan travelers, as I found. So these local concessions kind of help bring the Austin experience into the airport and make it feel like it's an extension of the city. And another part of this is all of the music that's streamed throughout the expansion is a local radio station as well. And art and graffiti is obviously a huge component of Austin's identity, and the city has some pretty famous murals around town. So we commissioned a graffiti artist, Mila Sketch, to produce a piece around the restroom entrance. So she produced some hand-drawn sketches, and we transferred them to acronym panels for durability. And the graffiti kind of depicts scenes from Austin, kind of current images and futuristic. And I guess in addition to this, the LED light surrounds and the change in terrazzo material that kind of draws you into the space, into the restroom space.
So the airport operates an art and music program that provides opportunities for local artists and cultural exchange, as well as local musicians to display work or perform in the terminal. As part of this project, we added 4 art kiosks for more two-dimensional art. And then we also added 3 gallery spaces. You can see one of the gallery spaces here outside of the women's restroom area, and then there's a larger gallery space that's probably 8 feet deep that is further to the west of this area. The art in these spaces rotates on a 4, 6, or 12-month basis. So each time you come to the airport, you know, look around. It's probably going to be a different experience than you had last time, and I know I enjoy it quite a bit. We'll also have, we're currently working on some permanent art installation projects through the Arts in Public Places program. So look for those in the future. We'll have one opening up in November, and then others will be coming in the years, in the next couple of years as we finish them up.
So Austin's outdoor culture inspired this unique East Terrace element. It's an outdoor space kind of facing the runway, and it's kind of going back to that old style airport where you feel less contained and you can get a little bit closer to the aircrafts. The space contains a variety of bench seating and planter seating. And the choice of landscape was quite tricky here. Obviously, landscaping on the air side is not that common, but we chose the plants quite carefully because obviously debris onto the apron level is pretty important as well.
The East Terrace has a lot of features, from seating to the planters that Vineta was talking about, the large canopies, and then also the large protective fence. But each of these features result in penetrations through the waterproofing system below the pavers that no one sees. Since the area below the terrace inside is all occupied hold room space, it's critical that there are no breaches in this waterproofing system that may result in water intrusion. So during construction, EE worked alongside with Hensel Phelps and their subcontractors and Gensler to perform extensive observations and coordination to ensure that all of these penetrations were fully flashed. And that no breaches existed. As you can see in the photo on the top, there were a large number of penetrations. Most of those are due to the heavy steel planters that also had the seating benches around them. So after we completed all of the flashing and all of the membrane installation, we performed electronic leak detection that is capable of identifying breaches as small as a pinhole. So we tested everything, repaired any breaches that were observed, and then retested again prior to installing insulation to ensure that there were no breaches. Even the paver system that we installed as a final product required special attention and special design considerations due to the dangers of wind uplift from the close proximity to the airplanes. So in the end, we completed a watertight, well-insulated, great space that many people will enjoy for the life of the building.
So next time you're at the airport, I hope we'd like to encourage you to go and check this out. I mean, how amazing is it to be able to check in, to go outdoors for a drink and a breath of fresh air and enjoy the view of the aircrafts taking off beside you.
So in addition to the passenger-facing concourse level, the terminal includes an apron level, and we were talking about the mezzanine level that all houses back-of-house areas that make the airport function efficiently. What you see here is one of our boarding bridges being placed onto the terminal building. These boarding bridges are very specialized and have power and air conditioning for the aircraft to hook up to. Also on the apron level, we have 3 baggage carousels which are used to bring your bags from the front of the airport down the backside of the terminal to one of these 3 carousels where they get loaded onto the aircraft. This photo is of our Airport Operations Center. This serves as a 24-hour operations and communication hub for the airport. It's also located on the apron level. We really designed this space so that there was a desk for basically every department in the airport. This is manned 24 hours a day. We have terminal operations, airfield operations, as well as spaces for emergency responders. So this space and their conference rooms around it can be used to respond to any emergency that might occur at the airport. You can see that we're monitoring flights and weather and security at all times here from this space. This is more back of house of the baggage handling system. There are rooms that are used to store concessions. There is a trash chute system that brings the trash down from the concourse level. Here we have some more boarding bridges and activities going on the apron.
So the complexity of this project just wasn't in the design and making sure that we had a leak-proof, airtight system building for passengers, but it was the communications on this project. For every single design option, for every single item that was done in construction, for every adjustment that was made in the field, we had to have airport stakeholders' involvement. That included review of submittals, RFIs, details and change requests. Also, it was important to have every single department accounted for in OAC meetings. You know, it was kind of a hard fate to keep up with who needed what, who needed to approve this, who needed to look at this, who needed to sign off on this. But we were lucky enough that we had Ellen on our project to be the enforcer at times to all of us.
It helped that different groups from the airport were involved in those weekly meetings. So they were able to kind of take the journey with us. So when we moved into the space, they were owners essentially of that space, and they were familiar with it because they were with us while we were building it.
And, you know, on the design team, we were required to communicate with every department. Ellen was our lead project manager for the airport, but she gave us the ability to work with every department, from maintenance to security, to concessions, to TSA, to landside and airside and terminal ops. It was just a lot of communication. And at the end of the day, I think that was the success of this project, that we had the ability to talk, to work with on a daily basis, every single person within the airport and on the Hensel Phelps team. The project started in 2014 with programming. Construction started in 2016. It opened in 2019. During this time, the design team shared on-site housing with Hensel Phelps for 3.5 years. The objective for having an on-site architectural and engineering team was for quick access. It allowed the ability to reduce construction ambiguity. It improved communication in the field. And as you can see in some of these images, this is us on the site every single day, sometimes more than 2 times a day, working with Hensel Phelps and their subcontractors to make quick fix solutions in the field. It also allowed Hensel Phelps and Gensler the opportunity, being on site, to work more intimately with the City of Austin, airport staff, and each other. The on-site experience, I'm sure none of us will ever forget, especially that moment at 5 a.m. We're there on opening night and we're making sure every single thing is tied in for the first passenger to come into the terminal when it opened. Having the opportunity with Ellen, the other ABIA staff, and Hensel Phelps when the terminal opened in February 2019 will go down as one of my favorite moments. Moving furniture, picking up staples from the escalator, looking at the wall, down on your knees, scraping, glue, picking up paper, picking up trash, vacuuming. It was an experience of a lifetime. And to see that first passenger come into the terminal. Being a woman in architecture, the engineering and construction industry doesn't come without its issues, but it's how we as women arise to the occasion, to the situation, to show the world that we're built for this. It's a very unique and unheard circumstance that the Gensler construction team was all women. ABIA's leadership team was majority women. Priscilla leading the Hensel Phelps construction team to completion of the expansion. It was such an empowering experience to sit in the OAC meeting, look around, and see that the majority of the people sitting at that table were women for a $350 million project that changed the traveler's experience in Austin. I have to say, during our time on this project, we experienced pregnancies, death, sick kids, a number of marriages, lots of tears, and us questioning ourselves, why are we doing this? However, at the end of each day, at the end of this project, we were committed and we saw it through. In this video, we're just going to show you guys images that were renderings, and then you get to see the outcome from the construction of this particular terminal.
This is probably something early 2019, late 2018, where the elevated walkways are still in place.
And you have to understand, being on site, we were sitting at the beginning of construction, we were sitting on the apron. So we got to feel the airplanes coming in. We got to see these air fighter jets. We actually feel these air fighter jets coming and landing and doing practice.
It's also pretty incredible to see that the original renders and then see the space and how little it actually changed, which is a true testament to the team.
One of my favorite things of being involved in projects like this is seeing a project go from a 2D drawing to a 3D space. And at this point in construction, when we had framing and we were starting to look at envelope products being installed, that was definitely the feeling every time I stepped on site.
I think for me, it was the fact that we got out there when it was concrete. So we got to see the apron tore up. It was dirt. Then we got to feel these massive piers. Vineta, how deep were these piers?
About 140 feet in places.
Yeah. And then I remember when they got ready to do the boring, this, like, I guess what was it? The hydronic piping. Like, we literally could feel that even though it was way deep below us.
The coordination was really key. I mean, you can see all the details that went into creating the final product, but having everybody accessible at all times was definitely a first-time experience on this project as a contractor, and being able to communicate quickly and effectively without impact to any of the operations. So we didn't have to go back in time and reopen any work or eliminate somebody who really wanted to be involved in decision-making. But being a part of the project from groundbreaking to the very end product, here you can see our final aerial photo of all of the airfield paving we completed, as well as that expansion to the east there. It's definitely a project to be proud of, and definitely a great team to be a part of for the past 5 years.
Yeah, we not only expanded the terminal by a third, we expanded the apron also by a third to accommodate these larger international aircraft that can now come into our airport.
Yeah, and I think, this is a huge contribution to the airport and to the city, but, it's a huge part of our lives because it lasted for so long. And I think we're all so grateful to have been involved and have such dominant roles in this project. And, thanks to everyone that's been involved. Thank you, all of you ladies. It's been a pleasure working with you all.
Feeling is definitely mutual. Thank you.
So we have won quite a few awards for this project, and due to the time constraints today, we haven't even really touched on the fact that in addition to all of our communication and all of the various different phases and various different projects that we're working on, we also achieved LEED Gold and AEGB 4-star on this expansion, which is, again, pretty significant for aviation projects due to the very nature of the work.
Well, thank you, team. That was such a treat to have this tour and be able to go to those back of house spaces that we couldn't otherwise have gone and seen without Ellen taking us there. So thank you for that. I do have a few questions, and I'd like to start pick it up with that sustainability item. I know that this project has been presented through AEGB with a much longer presentation focused on the sustainability aspects, which are numerous. But I just wanted to share with the audience, the project achieved a LEED Gold rating, including demonstrating substantial performance in energy and water efficiency, waste management, and interior environmental quality. Some highlights include greater than 90% waste diversion, 27% energy efficiency beyond baseline, and strategic use of daylighting and daylighting patrols. I know that, I understand that the airport has a designated sustainability team. I wonder, Ellen, if you could speak to that some, and then Vineta also describe some of those sustainability measures, such as the lighting controls.
Yeah, so we have a lighting control system that will has light sensors that will dim the lights during the day. And as the sun moves around the building, you know, each zone can adjust lighting based on what it's sensing there. We also have the water efficient fixtures, you know, in the bathroom areas and water fountains, and, you know, a focus on, you know, definitely when you come to the airport, bring your own bottle and fill it up at our hydration stations.
We also have composting and recycling facilities as well, and that's something that was very much driven by the airport.
And I think it's important too, you talked about waste diversion. We even recycled 3 of the gates that came off the existing building, and we refurbished them and reused them on the new building. So 3 of our jet bridges are original to the Barbara Jordan terminal.
That's outstanding to hear. Did you have something else, Vineta?
Yeah, I'm just going to touch on a few other items. You know, we did provide access to outdoors, which is, again, another big issue. We have a well-insulated and envelope, and it's high performance thanks to Jennifer and Nikki. You know, we also have stormwater runoffs and water quality ponds. And again, that's pretty important for airports due to the amount of apron space that we have. And I know the airport have a designated environmental team that keeps tabs on that. And we also provided a de-icing facility as part of the work of this overall terminal expansion and improvements project, as well as a remote area pond. Another thing is we provided enhanced commissioning on the HVAC systems. And yeah, you know, it's a brownfield site, as you all probably are aware as well.
I think, Vineta, the other thing would be the building automation system. The fact that the airport knows at any moment when the temperature needs to be adjusted or water temperatures needs to be changed. I think that that's another part to add to the sustainability, that we're not wasting energy.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's the HVA system is linked up to their central utility plant, and we also have the economizer cycle, again, which is kind of free cooling, and we also have rooftop relief vents in the concourse that are kind of in between the trusses, and that takes advantage of the stratification. So there's lots of little bits and pieces that are happening all over the place in terms that are helping our sustainability and design resilience.
Well, a little bit, the execution of all of these well-laid plans, bringing that to completion was a huge part of our involvement with the commissioning and sustainability process, and making sure that everything was properly installed and commissioned and completed, and we documented everything and brought that to the right person with the commissioning agent, so that all of this was not for naught and everything functioned as designed into completion and use.
Well, you are indeed, a cohesive, well-working oiled machine. So it comes through. We have a question from the audience regarding the security or communications hub space that we talked about. Was it built new to serve the whole airport, or only to serve the new addition and complement another existing hub? We talked about that somewhat earlier on.
So it serves the entire airport. We did have another communications hub, which is now used as a backup or an emergency location, and it is not in the terminal itself. So this really was, it really was forward thinking and bringing all these different departments into one area so that you could have that rapid response if anything should happen.
And, the AOC almost became its own separate project for a while because it was so intensive and so specialized, that we did have a specialized team that were working on it from the design side as well.
And identifying all the software systems, all the IT requirements for that building. Really, we took a deep dive in the design phase of that to make sure that we were getting everything that everyone needed in those areas and to those specific desk locations.
Another thing that we did add to the design, though, through the AOC was lightning detection system. So I know we're all familiar with lightning protection system on our buildings, but not lightning detection. And basically this is it's kind of like a traffic lights system that we have that is all around the perimeter of the building. And it basically identifies via a particular different light whether a storm is coming in, whether it's leaving, and what that's doing is it's notifying staff on the apron whether they need to seek shelter, whether there's rain coming, all of that kind of thing. And that's a crucial part of airport design, because every single airport staff knows the weather and knows what the weather is like every day of the week. And that was a huge thing, that they always knew what the weather was like, and they're very, very adamant about that. So that was a really nice addition.
Yeah, we're tracking those storms. We know when there's lightning within 10 miles of the airport or 5 miles of the airport, and there's different safety functions that we take as those storms approach. And it's also important to know that you could have the site is so large, you can have a storm on the south side of the airport and it never even reaches the terminal. But we stop fueling aircraft when we do have those storms approach.
That's good to know about. That is certainly unique to this project. I have a question for Sophia. This goes back to communication. Maybe it's a little specific. As the project coordinator, what tools did you use to keep the team up to date with document revisions?
I think the biggest thing would be just transparency. I think Vineta and the team on the Gensler side, I think Ellen and then Priscilla's side, they were just really great to talk to when things came up. Email, Excel spreadsheets. We love our Excel spreadsheets. We share those with everyone. I think it also being on site, Hensel Phelps I think Ellen, I'm just going to use Ellen as an example. Ellen knew she could come talk to me and she could get what she needed. if Vineta wasn't available, she could come to me. So just being there, I think, was the biggest tool. I was there before everyone else got there in 2016. So I think just being available would be my biggest tool that I had on the project.
And if I had questions or I didn't understand something, I could always come to Sophia and we could get the specialty consultants on the phone to, you know, explain this electrical issue or something that we would need to be responding about. I also appreciate, this is, you know, both Gensler and Hensel Phelps, they were very straightforward with me when a decision had to be made. Like, okay, well, this process, okay, you got 2 weeks to respond, but really, you know, this is a hot topic.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated them helping me focus in certain areas on certain decisions that had to be made and when.
I think the other big tool, Randy, would be just having a priority list. I mean, I would meet with Hensel Phelps' team and understand what the priority items were that we needed decisions on, either from the design team or the client team, or even from the City of Austin's project manager. And I think the other thing would be a priority list between ourselves, understanding what is needed today and not worrying about what's needed next week. What do we need today to get to Hensel Phelps to make sure that they can get whatever is needed to be completed tonight done? So a priority list would be my biggest tool as well.
And I'm going to add, Sophia, an open door. You know, we had an open door. People could just come in and ask questions and, you know, even just chat or rant or whatever we needed to. And that, I think that was a big help. And, you know, someone to walk the site sometimes as well. We were always there. The door was open, not only in our site hut, but also Hensel Phelps.
Yep.
Funny, I remember several high-tech platforms that the team used, but I think in the end, it's the low-tech, the open door, the priorities, the communication that really made the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The main thing that I remember, besides all of the tools and techniques that we used to be efficient, was just understanding that everybody had a different priority or investment in the project, that they were personally concerned with, that affected their day-to-day lives and work and their own operation, and just respecting that each of the ABIA representatives from all the different operations needed a particular question answered or solved, and everybody on our trade partner team and the design team and sub-consultants, it was really a matter of figuring out what needed to be solved for that person to be successful, and how that all fit into what needed to be solved today. And yes, creating those priority lists and then just chipping away at it.
Well, I think you said it very well, Priscilla, and I'd like to end on that note, that respect was really key to the success in this project, that the team respected each other. There were so many people to work with, and you all respected what needed to be done and made a commitment to it. This has been an excellent tour. I want to thank our audience for joining us today, for joining us for our other tours this year. If you could take a few minutes to fill out the evaluation form, we'd appreciate it. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Just so you know, it's been over 18 months in the making, and I think that it is just been a huge success. So thank you to everyone here who took the time to participate and make this happen for our members.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's good to see the team again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the week, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, great.